Thanks everybody for joining me on 10 Topics Live with Joey G. We are talking video games. It's basically just games in general too, and you don't have to be a gamer really to understand some of the stuff I'll be talking about. I'll be answering your questions. Basically, I was a gamer my whole life. Not super hardcore, but enough to be consider myself a gamer. I have a couple stories from when I was growing up that really, I was thinking about video games in general. And one of them was it really helped me to bond with my family. And as you all know, I'm a big family guy, but we kept the Nintendo in my room. And my dad, we had this game called Star Force that was on Nintendo. And it was a super simple game. You're just a flat, spaceship flying straight up. It was one of those scrolling games, And you just had to fire and blow up stuff that came at you. I'm absolutely addicted to this game, my father and I. And I would roll over at like 10:30 at night. I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, and my dad would be playing, sitting on my bed, playing it. And I'd be like, "Dad, what are you doing?" He's like, "Shh, go back to bed. Your mom's gonna kill me." Because my parents' room was right next to my room, so he'd be like sneaking to play video games. Fast forward, I now live in my house here, and in my home, my video game setup is in the office, which is next to where I am right now, which is next to my bedroom. And I'll be playing my PlayStation or Switch or whatever, Xbox. I'll be playing it till like 2 a.m. And then like when my dad would have to sneak back into the room because my mom would go to bed early. He'd be done playing around 11:30. My mom would be asleep, and I have to do the same thing and sneak in. The difference is I had one dog, family dog, that slept downstairs when I was little. That's what my dad had to deal with. I have to deal with 9 dogs that have taken my room over in my bed. So now not only do I have to open the door quick enough so they see it's me and they don't start barking, I also have to do this like slink and try to get into bed without waking up everybody. So it's a challenge, friends. That's all I'm saying. But my love of video games, like it was me and my dad would bond all the time playing that. He always played Tetris with me, which is a lot of fun. The original Nintendo, my mom and dad got me really good because they wrapped the Nintendo that they got me for Christmas one year. I was super disappointed and I didn't get it. And they wrapped gifts to my grandparents and put them on the bar in my house. And when all the gift was open, I'm done. Like I have everything and we're all done. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. And I'm trying to keep a strong face because I was really disappointed because that's all I really wanted. My grandmother opens her gift and it's a Nintendo, and my eyes flew up. And I remember screaming so loud, crying, and jumping into my father's arms. And now my nephew Vinny, I mess with him every Christmas with Christmas gifts. Like one year he really wanted a Nintendo Switch, I think it was a Switch. So I bought him a game for the DS and I gave it to him. I was like, "Oh, I know you really wanted this or whatever." And he was like, "Oh no, I wanted the Switch." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, buddy. I thought I had the wrong thing. Your mom told me the wrong thing." And then like 5 gifts later, he opened the Switch when I put it in a way bigger box. And I'm always so mean to him with the surprises, and he falls for it every year. I got him this year with the Xbox One S, not One S, the Xbox, the new one. And I just wrapped the controller, and I said, "Look, it was sold out everywhere. Your mom told me late I couldn't get it." And of course, I had gotten him one. And then later, I had a gift with his mom's name on it. And then I took off the tag and I said, "Oh, this is supposed to be for Vinny." And he opened it up, and it was the new Xbox Series X. So that was really fun to get him and mess with him. So video games have always been a part of my life, either playing with them or with friends and whatnot. My parents, I started on stand-up video games because my parents used to bowl in Staten Island. Another thing I got from them every Thursday night, and they would give me a roll of quarters, $10 worth of quarters, and I would just play video games at the bowling alley when they were bowling to stay out of their hair. And I would have so much fun playing those stand-up games. I would go with my friend Joe. His parents and my parents were on the same team, and we just spend Thursday nights playing video games. I was in like 7th and 8th grade, and it was always so fun. And that's when like big 4-player games were big. It's like the big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles console. Like I remember when the first time the multiplayer games came out that was more than 2 people fighting against each other. They were like the cooperative games, like Gauntlet, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When they were all like together in the one big game, Rampage, like those kind of games. That was really fun because we like started to play together. Then Street Fighter came out and all bets were off. I would just start kicking ass of strangers and whatnot. There was an arcade I used to go to in South Beach. It was on Sand Lane. It was by Sal's original house, actually, on that side of the island, off of Father Capodanno Boulevard. It was called South Beach. It had a little rides park and then had a little arcade. And my sister took me there for my 14th birthday, and that's where her and our now husband had their first date. It was my birthday party there, which is interesting. But I was just rewatching The Sopranos, and they do a flashback of Tony's father, and they go and they filmed at that exact place I was. I think it was like season 4, where they go and his father was taking Tony Soprano's sister when they were younger to this amusement park in Staten Island that was used as a front for the mob in the storyline of Sopranos. So I saw it. I was like, oh my God, that's where I used to play video games. So that came full circle for me too. So that's a little bit of background about me and video games. Thanks again for joining me. Let's get to the questions. So on Twitter, at Chicken Suburban asks PlayStation or Xbox. And on my Instagram, at Go Gatto, the Cyan asks Nintendo or Sega. So PlayStation or Xbox, Nintendo or Sega. I will say I started off heavy in the Xbox. I play both. I have both. Depends on games that I have, but I've leaned more towards PlayStation. I got the PS5, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now. I played Miles Morales, Spider-Man, beat that. But I would say if I had to pick one, it's really dead middle for me. I enjoy some games on the Xbox. I enjoy some games on the PlayStation. I just am playing the PlayStation more right now. Nintendo or Sega. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog was probably one of my favorite video games. And I really, really dove into that, especially when you get the sidekick tails and you could swap. I really thought that was fun. But over the years, Nintendo just stayed steady and strong for me. One of my favorite video games ever is the on the Switch, the new one, the Link, the Zelda one, because I got totally sucked into that. And I took my Switch with me on the road during one of our bus tours. And it just kept me busy the whole time, and I really immersed myself in the video game. So I think I probably had to go to Nintendo over Sega. Ming Tudor asks, what was the first game you ever played? I had, on my PC Junior, I had a game called The Hobbit, which is based on the book. And it was like one of those word games, like a picture would come up and music would play and it says, what would you do? Press 1 to run, press 2 to hide, and stuff like that. That was probably one of my first video games ever. And Jason Joseph had a game on his Tandy. My next door neighbor, Jason Joseph, my best friend growing up. I know him he's my oldest friend. I know him since I was 2 and he was 1, so that means I know him 42 years. I gotta text Jason. I'm not sure. What did we used to play on your Tandy computer? I just texted Jason Joseph to see what we played on his Tandy computer. I forgot there was a video game we always played on his Tandy. That's escaping me, but we loved it. We spent many hours. Every time I slept over, we'd stay up late. Hopefully it gets back to me by the end of this. But those are some of the earliest video games I remember playing. Then I also really remember playing Minesweeper on my computer. You guys remember Minesweeper? Google it. You're definitely all too young. You have no idea what I'm talking about. It was one of these first beta games that got sent in with Microsoft. Shut up. You're too young. You don't know what I'm talking about. What's your favorite video game of all time? That's tough. Some that are definitely up there is the 007 James Bond on Nintendo 64. The Tomb Raider series is probably one of my favorite series ever. Uncharted is another great series, which Uncharted 4 was one of my favorite video games I ever played. Even 3 was really good, but Uncharted 4. And I have to say Assassin's Creed is up there. I really like the Last Jedi game that came out too, Fallen Order. I really enjoyed that. But those are all standout ones that come from me. I like Legend of Zelda, the original on Nintendo. That was fantastic. The original Tetris on Nintendo. The Jeopardy game on Nintendo. That's right, I said it. Jeopardy. Those are all fun games. So thank you, at Ming Tudor. Those are some of my favorite video games that I ever played. At M17 Pats, what's your favorite game of all time? Did I just answer that? First game I did. So at Legendary 9XV1. That's like probably a Roman numeral thing you did, but I'm not putting that together right now. What video game character do you relate to the most? Yoshi, because he eats everything. I don't know. I would have to say, I probably would have to say Princess Peach. That's a good answer. Any classic games you plan to introduce your kids to? So, for Christmas, got the stand-up Bandai video game, arcade game thing that has all the games you could select, and it's got Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, Rolling Thunder, some of my favorite stand-up games, stand-up arcade sets, and I bought a stool, and now Milana plays Miss Pac-Man, which is so fun and so cute. She's terrible, but I love her. But we also play Sonic together. I bought the old school Sega, that new re-release console that you don't need the disc, you just use a HDMI and hook it up to your TV. So she plays Sonic the Hedgehog, and on her Switch, I got her Switch, she plays her Switch. So I'm making a gamer out of her. She's really cool. And Remo just stands there with a remote that doesn't work and just sits and presses buttons. At Cherish XOXO says, what's a game you thought you wouldn't like but ended up loving? Detroit Becomes Human, I think, was a pretty good one that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. I didn't actually finish it because other games had come out and I didn't have as much time. There's an old school game called Mr. Do that I want you guys to Google. Mr. Dio. And he used to throw a ball and kill people. And I've never thought of that game until right now. And it was one of my favorite games of all time. I have to look if I could find this game somewhere. It was called Mr. Do. It was a stand-up game. It was like old school. It was like kind of before Dig Dug and all that. The graphics weren't even as good as Dig Dug, if that even makes sense. You were a clown, I think, that you threw shit at it. They were really bad, but really funny. I'd probably be Mr. Do, actually. I'd be the guy from Dig Dug. Because I got a plan. I'm working it all out. I think I'd be the guy from Dig Dug. Mr. Do is probably up there because it was such a stupid game on paper, but now, even right now, I'm so excited. And if I could play, I would pay big money to play Mr. Do right now. At IJ Memer asks if you could only play one video game for the rest of your life, which would it be? It's not Mr. Do, which I know is a surprise for everybody, considering the big reaction I just had to Mr. Do. There's two games that really jump out at me. One is on my phone. I have an app called Pinochle. It's a card game. I can play the game Pinochle forever. I love cards. And it's just a game I can play on there. I also have another game on my phone called Balls with a Z. That's not even a joke. It's BALLZ. And you bounce balls and you have to break blocks. I definitely highly recommend the app. BALLZ. Put the Z on it because the S is a totally different app and I do not condone that. Okay? You know what I'm talking about, ladies. So, I would say one of those... What can I play for the rest of my life? That, or honestly, probably Tetris. I could probably play old school Tetris for the rest of my life. You can't pick a game that's beatable because then when it's over, it's over. Also, you know what, though? That's not true, Joe. Okay? So stop lying to everybody, including yourself. I probably could play Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, and just run around and steal cars and jump off buildings and do all that stuff. Or even 5. I kind of like 5 that you switched people. But for me, honestly, Vice City was a lot of fun too. Also, the San Andreas one was really fun because I like the whole LA, the whole California aspect of it. So there's that. At the Raven Flight, which video character would you want to meet in real life and why? I mean, Mario. I mean, come on. You got to meet Mario. The answer's got to be Mario. You have a better answer than Mario? You'd be hard put Luigi? No, not as cool, but taller. Not as cool, but taller, Luigi. I'd like to see if Princess Peach is worth it, if she's that hot. He's going through all this trouble. He fights Donkey Kong. I'm going old school even before this Bowser even comes around. You got Donkey Kong steals her. Is she worth all this hubbub? I don't know. I'd probably say Princess Peach, maybe. Like, just to meet her. I hope she's nice. Because Mario's going through some serious shit. Think about what Mario has to go through for this woman. Right? First he has to fight a huge donkey, then he goes after the junior. The son comes along and he's starting up shit again. Then we move on to a huge mutant turtle monster, right? Is that Jason Joseph? No. A huge turtle monster. Bowser's like stealing this girl all the time. I mean, this girl's, first of all, she got to talk to me, Princess Peach. You got to put your guard up. How are you getting stolen all the time, Princess Peach? Like, look around. Don't go in empty parking lots. Like, there's things that you can do to protect yourself. You know, like you have to be careful out there. This world is crazy. You got people trying to steal you all the time just to get back at a plumber. First of all, you're a princess, you're dating a plumber. I appreciate that about you. You don't judge a book by its cover, okay? You're not afraid to, you know, you're not all about the wallet, okay? You're looking for what people want to do for you. Love. That's right. There's much love between Princess Peach and Mario. How much of a third wheel was Luigi? Let's ask ourselves that. Let's all talk about this for a minute, right? So here we go. You know, they're on a date. Mario's driving because you know he does. Mario Karting all over the place, right? Princess Peach is shotgun. Who's in the backseat? Luigi. It's a Luigi. And he's back there like, where are we going? And they're like, the movies. And he's like, oh, do you have a friend? And Princess Peach is like, no, I'm a princess. She doesn't talk like that, but you get it. I want to meet Mario. At NoBone666, what game are you most proud of beating? Oh. I'd have to say when I beat the first Assassin's Creed, I was so psyched that I did that because I was really enjoying the game and really like invested in it. So I think that's definitely up there for me. Also, yeah, I think that was really, really fun. There was also one, it was called... It was a cartoon game. It was a stand-up arcade game it was called Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair. You remember this game, Dragon's Lair? Is anybody out there? Google it. When I beat that was because it was all about timing when you had to hit the button and stuff, and it was really, I spent a lot of money. It was at that bowling alley I spoke of earlier. So Dragon's Lair is definitely up there for me. Which video game have you found the hardest to play? Dragon's Lair. The game was impossible. It was so hard to play, but it was so fun. You know what else I find kind of hard now? I find the Mortal Kombat's hard to play when you're playing against people because my skill level is not where it should be because I don't play them as often as certain people. But I really enjoyed when they did the whole DC thing, Mortal Kombat thing, that whole cross-pollination. That's not the word, but you know what I mean. I thought that was really fun. Let's see. Did you ever go to any arcades growing up? Yes, I would consider those two things arcades. Come on, Jason Joseph, where are you? The arcade that I grew up going to was the South Beach Arcade, but also I grew up on Jersey Shore. I grew up going down the Jersey Shore, Seaside Heights. I don't know if you guys know this, but when the carnival games and the arcade games joined, they started giving out tickets, right? So Deal or No Deal came out with a game for tickets, and me and my two nephews were down at the Jenkins's Boardwalk in Seaside, and we walk in and there's a Deal or No Deal thing, and this is before I was on TV, and we start playing Deal or No Deal, and we're getting up to the 1 million tickets, and it's going. So if you won the $1 million, it gave you 1,000 tickets, which basically means you got a convertible. So we got the whole arcade watching us as we're doing no deals. My nephew is at the time, my 8-year-old nephew, Anthony, he's not 8 anymore. He's a young man now. He's 22. Shout out to you, Anthony, if you're watching. Much love to you, buddy. And he was picking him and his brother, Sal, also probably watching, my nephew, Sal. What's up? They would pick the cases for me. And they made it to the $1 million. And the place went absolutely nuts. It was one of the biggest hooplas we've ever done. They thought I cheated. Which was so bizarre. The manager was like, how'd you know? I'm like, because I played the game. I don't know how would I know? I'm not Howie Mandel. Although now, fast forward, I know Howie. I don't know. Maybe that's why Howie Mandel and I are friends. So those arcades were always fun. I always loved those kind of arcades. And there was a Chuck E. Cheese on Staten Island where I would take my younger cousins and nieces and nephews. That was fun. What kind of games do you prefer? Asks at Dion Bandala 21. There's a couple underscores. Dion Bondola underscore 21. What kind of games do you prefer? Mystery, action, adventure, RPG, etc.? I like story mode games. I like Tomb Raiders and Assassin's Creed and where you're a character. Those are my favorite types of games for sure. I like stuff that has a little bit of puzzles in them, like the Tomb Raider stuff. On theme, I love anything Mario, for the most part. I really enjoyed Just Cause 4. That was there. All the Spider-Man games. I love any game that you could explore a city as a superhero. The Hulk. One of my favorite games of all time actually was the old school Hulk one, where they let the Hulk jump all over the place. That was fun. Second Son was a fun game. Watch Dogs, I got a couple of those. Assassin's Creed was fun. The only sports games I ever played was FIFA Soccer. And I wasn't very good at it. And FIFA is such an odd choice to be the video game to play. But I also did play, which I really enjoyed, NHL Hockey on Sega. which is really good. And that, to this day, is the only reason why I know the name of some hockey teams, like the Canucks. Like, I wouldn't have known that unless I played that. I was always the Detroit Red Wings, because they had the guy I liked. I liked him in the video game. I didn't know him in real life. But the Detroit Red Wings were always my thing. No disrespect to Steve Byrne if he's watching. Pittsburgh Penguins, fantastic as well. Who's the best video gamers between the guys? It's definitely Q or me. Sal is very funny. Me and Sal, I bought Lego Star Wars. And me and Sal slept over when it first came out, and Sal slept over at when I was living in my mom's basement in my apartment. When I was, I call it an apartment, it was my mom's basement. It's like a studio apartment in my mom's basement. And I was like 30 something. And Sal slept over, and we beat it in one night. We stayed up till 6:30 in the morning playing it, because that's how much fun we had. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much. Keep smiling, keep laughing. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe_Gatto.